If we want to cross the river, we just drive over the Tappan Zee Bridge, and in minutes we're on the other side. But imagine a time when there were no bridges, when the roads were made of dirt, the towns were smaller and fewer and further between. Getting around was tough. This is Dobb's Ferry, and it is the site of one of the oldest ferry routes on the Hudson River. It was here in 1698 that John Dobbs and his family operated a small boat between this spot and Sneeden's Landing in Rockland, just a little over a mile away on the other side of the river. This was not a large ferry. It was a small boat that could be rowed or sailed across the river. Let's paddle along the route they took and see what it was like. Their boat was not much different from my kayak today, and that means you are at the mercy of the wind and waves on this huge river. There was no regular service in those days. If the weather was bad, you simply stayed where you were until it improved, perhaps even for several days. In 1709, Robert Sneeden, from the other side of the river, married Molly Dobbs, and the new family also took part in operating the boat. During the Revolutionary War, some members of the Sneeden family supported the British. This led to trouble for the family, as many members were forbidden to keep the ferry in operation. John Sneeden, who was a U.S. supporter, a patriot, took over the operation, and many important figures of the time crossed the little boat. Aaron Burr and Martha Washington both crossed the Hudson on the same path that I am paddling now. But it wasn't just Americans who used the ferry. One night during the war, a British soldier was chased to the shore of the river by some Americans. Molly hid him from the Americans and ferried him to the other side later that evening. We are heading toward Sneeden's Landing now, right where all this happened. This is what it looked like in 1858. This was painted by an artist named Robert Knox Sneeden. How is it similar? How is it different from what we know today? The ferry stopped operating in 1944. As more and more bridges were built across the river, the community stopped needing the little boat. But we remember this important ferry, which operated right in our own neighborhood for 250 years, and gave names to both Sneeden's Landing and Dobb's Ferry.